I'm Dave Gardy at TV Worldwide Studios in preparation for the GovSec show, which will be covered by FedEd TV and Homeland Defense TV. And with me here in our studios today is Mr. Neil Cohen, who's Director of Business Development for Defense Group Incorporated, the makers of something called TACT software, which stands for Tactical Aid and Collaboration Toolkit. Now, Neil, you guys are known for creating software for hazmat techs and bomb teams. How did you get involved in creating TACT software for hostage negotiation team?
When we created our original Cobra software, we did so with the FBI Hazardous Materials Response Unit. And that software was deployed to FBI special agent bomb techs and hazmat teams and bomb techs around the country. Well, after that, the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group, CIRG, came to us and said, we really liked what you did for the bomb guys. Could you work with us in the hostage negotiation world? We've got a lot of plans and procedures and guides that we go through. Could you help us develop a software? And so we started doing it, and a couple years later, TACT was born. And we've now deployed it to the FBI Critical Incident Response Groups, but we have the ability now to deploy it to state and local SWAT teams, prison systems, anywhere that has a crisis or hostage negotiation team.
So how do you see the TACT software being deployed for a hostage negotiation team?
The feedback that we've received since we've deployed this software and started showing it to people is that the software would be viewed by the prime, and the prime is the one that's speaking to the hostage taker, and then utilized by the coach. The coach is the one that is sitting next to the prime, adding in information, doing what's called active listening to hear things that the prime may have missed. Perhaps the hostage taker has contradicted himself, or perhaps he's heard something in the background. Perhaps he's thought of an idea that he wants to probe the questions to keep the hostage taker on the phone and talking. Meanwhile, there's a scribe in the room, and the scribe is taking down all the notes, all the information that's happening. Plus, there are kind of investigative guys who are out in the field. They're talking and interviewing the boss, the girlfriend, the wife, the neighbors, getting information that could be relevant to the situation, and they need to communicate that information back to the prime and to the coach, and they can do that with their iPhone, their iPad, or any Droid, any internet-connected device, and they can actually tap into TACT and feed information that's relevant to the situation to the coach, and then he can determine what's important and then feed that to the prime to keep that conversation going.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, tell me how you brought a demo here. Can you give us an overview of how it would work, the tool, and how it would be used during a hostage negotiation crisis with the team?
Absolutely. Let me show you some of these tools, because this is something really new. We're not changing the way hostage negotiators are doing their job. We've just taken some of the tools and the guides that they use and automated them. So let me show you.
Okay.
So here I've logged in to the TACT software. As you see, I've highlighted the incident manager. Now I'm going to skip over that right now and come back to that. First, we have the sticky setup. Now, hostage negotiators use yellow sticky pads, and some of the stories we've heard is at the end of a negotiation, there's thousands of yellow sticky pads crumpled up all over the floor, and there's no real remembrance of what was said when and what was worked and what elicited a response. Well, this is just changing that and creating pre-planned yellow sticky pads. So here I've got some pre-planned yellow sticky pads that perhaps I will bring up in any given situation, whether it's a barricade situation, a hostage situation, if I have some keywords or some phrases or some questions that have really worked in the past, I want to preload those in here. Now here's the sticky notes tool. Now this is what the hostage negotiator will actually be seeing. If I want to get an information, an FYI to that hostage negotiator, but I don't want him to bring it up to the hostage taker, I will bring over an FYI. That's just something I want to bring to the prime attention. But if there's a note, I will bring up like a note, a yellow sticky pad. Hey, tell him he needs to take his medication, or tell him the banks aren't open right now and we're working for the money. If the information is not necessary right now, if the prime decides, I don't need that information right now, he can just click X. Now that yellow sticky pad is gone. It's the equivalent of crumpling it up and throwing it on the ground. but it's not lost forever. It's still there in the archive. Another tool is our documents tool. This tool can have pre-planned information prior to the incident, or if there's information that occurs during the incident, he can load it in there. Perhaps it's the schematics of the building that the hostage taker is in. Timers tool. Say I want to set a timer that I need to call this guy every 30 minutes, or I'm going to talk to him for 30 seconds and then hang up the phone. I can add new timers or stopwatches and start clicking down. I can set advanced features, which say after 15 minutes, I want to launch a video, or I want to notify myself to pull up some sort of family history document. I can set those timers to enact that function, or just for my own keeping of the times. A log tool is very simple. I can just be adding in notes. Suspect is off his meds. Doctor has been notified. And then I just add that note. You'll see it's in blue. That way, when we have the after action report, it's the difference between a note that was manually put in by someone on the team versus just an automatic recording of one of the tools within TACT that happens time and date stamped as we're going along. So we'll show you a couple other tools here. Our personal status. This is very important. This shows who everyone is on the team and what their roles are. So you can actually update it at the incident or pre-plan with photographs, with bios. Perhaps someone has a unique capability or training or certification that you want to put in there, and so you need to find someone on the team that meets that requirement. Then there's team status. I want to let everybody know where and what the team is doing. So here, I've set up the knock. The tactical team is active and ready. Down here, we have a situation board. Now, this is one of the most popular tools. It was popular in Cobra, and it is very popular in TACT, because this replaces the whiteboard, which can get scribbled on, it can get accidentally erased. I can project this up on the wall so that I have an electronic version of the whiteboard that everybody can see. I can put in information. The suspect has perhaps aliases that I want to reference. Any intel that I've gained, say he's lost his job, what his demands are, words not to say during that incident that are going to trigger a negative response. Down here we have a ticker that's scrolling across. Now, how this would be used is, say I wanted to get information to the whole team, but I don't want to break radio silence. Perhaps my guy with his iPhone is talking to the girlfriend and got some really important information. I could log into this incident and type it in, and it'll start scrolling across that ticker. And so everybody now knows the same situation. So common operating picture, situational awareness. Chat is a very simple tool if I want to do chat. Recorder tool. Now this tool is very cool. I can plug in the throw phone. Now we've all seen the TV shows where they throw in the throw phone. You could jack the phone right into your laptop and record the entire conversation that's happening. Here's an example of some of the recordings. Now, this is why this is important. Say I've recorded some of the conversation. Normally, there would be someone on the phone with a psychiatrist and saying, hey, he's saying this. With this tool, I can capture that little bit of the conversation in the suspect's own voice. I can email it as a WAV file, as an attachment to the psychiatrist or to someone else. They could listen to the suspect in his own voice and say, what is he saying here? What kind of state of mind is he in? So I'm listening to the suspect in his own voice.
Right.
Perhaps the psychiatrist is on the other side of the country in California right now. We can also record video. We can record all the ambient conversation in the room, if that's necessary. Test, 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 test. We can import videos or grab pictures from videos. An image tool. This obviously is very important. If I pull up an image of where the suspect is, I can start marking it up. Here's the entrance. The suspect is up here. I can share this information or save it for a later date, after action report. Jane's Crisis Communications Handbook for the Public Information Officer, an explosives evacuation tool. This tool was very relevant to the situation we had at the Discovery Channel Center the other day, where the hostage taker said he had explosives on him. This would give the team information on how far they needed to evacuate people, based on whether the guy said he had a pipe bomb, a chest bomb, a suicide bomb, a car bomb. And then finally, ICS and NIMS. After the incident's over, there's always the paperwork. And the hostage negotiators have to do it too, and we've loaded all the paperwork in here. And then finally, I had skipped over the incident manager, but here it is. Everything I've done has been time and date stamped within the TACT software. So I have a fluid after action report in 2 different formats. I can export it to Word or Excel. And that, in a nutshell, is our new Tactical Aid Collaboration Toolset.
That's phenomenal. Really very impressive and very comprehensive of all the situations that could evolve in a situation like that. Can you give us a heads up on what's coming next for Defense Group's Cobra division?
Absolutely. We've got a couple of really neat products underway right now. One of which is a geo-tracking system so that you can actually track your responders on a web-based map. Mark the map up, share the map, save the map for later. This would be important for hostage negotiation teams, fire departments, SWAT teams, bomb squads, all of our customers. And we've got a very interesting tool underway for urban search and rescue teams.
Excellent. Well, we know you'll be at trade shows around the country coming up over the next year, but to get more information about Defense Group's products that you saw here demonstrated today by Neil, please go to www.tactfirstresponder.com. That's tactfirstresponder.com and get more information. Neil Cohen, Director of Business Development for Defense Group, thank you for joining us today to show us that really innovative tool set, the TACT, Tactical Aid and Collaboration Tool Set. Dave Gardy here in preparation for the GovSec show on Homeland Defense TV and FedEd TV. Stay tuned for more.